Welcome back to another episode of FHNtoday TV. Today we have a feature on how students are preparing for the Iron Chef Culinary Throwdown,
a look into the underrepresentation of women in STEM fields,
and how an FHN student's life has been impacted by music.
I'm Trey Dehesa.
And I'm Madi Shinault, and we got all this and more coming up now.
Things are going to be getting a little more saucy on November 14th as senior culinary students are traveling to compete in the 10th annual Iron Chef Culinary Throwdown, a cooking competition where students create a 5-course meal for a panel of judges. Lupe Medina and Breed Pearson have the story on how FHN's team is planning to prepare for this year.
The 10th annual Iron Chef Culinary Throwdown will be held at Francis Howell High School on November 14th. The participants are all senior culinary students from each FHSD high school. The theme for this year's competition is Food Truck Frenzy, which means each team will need to create a menu that could be easily served in a food truck.
The practice consists of basically 4 stations, since it's 4 people.
And we just work on, different techniques, what's going to work best, what's going to, present better. And then we invite teachers down to try our foods and say, what can we do better?
Because of the lack of workspace, it can get very stressful during the competition.
It's just mass chaos. It's very busy, fast-paced, emotions are very high.
Mrs. Just is not allowed to participate in any of the preparation during the competition. However, she is allowed to comment on the students' performance and give them reminders throughout the competition.
I'm a very competitive person, and I try to instill that in my students to do top-notch, be the best, the best, the best. And I'm just excited for them to showcase their skills and everything that they've learned.
Hopefully I can live up to Mrs. Just's expectations.
The students are anticipating the results of the competition.
I'm most excited about, just having that teamwork and us being able to just put out a 5-course meal and then just have some friendly competition between schools.
From the students, you can tell even when we don't get first, we're still proud of where they started and everything that they've shown. They love the judges that are there. They love getting feedback from all the people that sample their foods, that are evaluating them as they do the cooking. And it's just nice to see the look on their face like, this is ours, 100% ownership, and it's just really rewarding to see that.
In recent years, more women have been fighting to be represented in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math, otherwise known as STEM. Due to the introduction of engineering classes at Francis Howell North in recent years, many girls have gotten the opportunity to learn about skills and used in STEM careers. Kelsey Decker has more on these girls and their plans for the future.
It's extremely important for women to go into the STEM field. As a woman that's planning to go into the STEM field, I know that it's highly male-dominated at this point, and that it's really important for females to get into the field because there's been many problems before with only men designing things that cause problems for women.
There's a stigma sometimes that's associated with engineering is typically guys. That's a stigma we're trying to get rid of and let people know that engineering's for everybody.
If we had more female teachers that taught engineering and science and math, it would definitely help. They're going to feel more comfortable going into something like that. They have someone they can talk to.
While there has been a noticeable increase in women's interest in STEM-related fields, this has also increased how hard women have had to work to prove that they belong.
It does have an effect on us that we want to be better than everyone else because we know that we have that disadvantage, that we're outnumbered.
Since the divide is there, I want to prove that women deserve to be in the field, and I think that just pushes me to go for the leadership positions that I have and go for making the best grades and showing everyone that women deserve to be there.
Almost every single time, females have been my top performing student.
High school classes across the country have given women an idea of what the divide between men and women in the STEM fields would be like in the real world, and has even helped them decide whether it's what they're interested in.
In 2011, we had 10.8% females, and this year we're at 14.3%. A little less than a quarter of the females in the program stay all 4 years.
I feel like I have to force myself into it and prove that I should be there.
I think it's really cool that those girls are so passionate about their future.
Me too. I can't wait to see what they do.
Let's go to Liz Wagner, who has what we need to know about fall sports.
In sports action, senior Jessica Chin returns from the state golf competition for the second time in her high school career. With this second state appearance, she says goodbye to her time as a high school golfer and looks forward to what her future golf career holds. While all fall sports are now over except for cross country, once winter begins, we may still be one sport short. It is unknown if the girls' swim team will be able to dive into their season. With trials quickly approaching, there is still no girls' swim coach. Last year's coach, Karen Witten, will not be returning, leaving last year's 16 underclassmen hopefully waiting to suit up. On the field, the boys soccer team lost to House Central on October 23rd with a score of 2-1. This home loss in districts was an early end of the season. Injuries played a key part in their season, with many starting players suffering from long-term injuries, leaving them out of the majority of the games this year. Emily Hood has more to report on the impact that injuries had on the boys soccer team.
This season we had a lot of injuries that we had to overcome, and we slowly had to get back into it. After being injured for a while, you kind of lose touch and all that, and it kind of takes some time to get back into it.
After coming off a third-place finish in last year's state competition, varsity boys soccer had high hopes for the upcoming season. Their state hopes became a little farther than reality after 5 out of their 11 starting players suffered from long-term injuries that required them to sit for a majority of the season. In recent years, the competition level of high school sports has increased dramatically and can often result in athletes pushing their bodies to the limits in order to be the best.
You know, it's interesting, as people have specialized in sports, what the typical pattern is when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, you start doing club sports more. But some of those folks that have specialized early, those people are a little bit higher risk of having overuse injuries. So we see the tendonitis things, we see the stress fractures. So the other thing we see a lot is burnout. A lot of people, they don't want to go to practice after being at school all day, 3 and 4 hours a day. A recent study came out and said that if you are competing in your one specialized sport more hours in a week than you are age in years. So for example, if you're 14 years old but you're spending 20 hours practicing your sport, your risk of overuse injury increases substantially. So that's kind of a rule I use with my patients.
Injuries can take their toll on dedicated athletes in more ways than just on the physical level.
Long-term consequences are something I think we don't recognize well enough, right? High school athletes identify as athletes, right? So when they have a catastrophic injury, right, where they're missing a season, or they're missing several months at a time, they kind of lose a little bit of themselves. And there's a lot of, mood-based things that happen, a lot of depression that happens because they're not with their team. They're not, participating in the things they like to do.
When I first came out, I was just really pissed because I've been injured quite a bit of times during the high school years. And it was just really annoying coming out after someone just nailing me in the shin and becoming really painful.
Not only do they focus on treatment, Larkin and other doctors in the sports medicine field have been emphasizing the importance of injury prevention to stop these consequences from happening.
What we're trying to preach to our athletes from a very young age is to work on core strengthening. Core and hip, so rear end, pelvis muscles, abdominal muscles, back muscles. If you can make those muscles stronger, you're less likely to get injured, and every study has proven that. Thankfully, high school athletes are young, they heal quickly, and once we get everything figured out and put it back in the right place, they generally do pretty well without much long-term problem.
With the right support system, athletes like Tanner can return from injuries and continue to have successful sports careers.
Just make sure you stay fit, make sure you stretch out, work as a team. Teams are there to support you. Even if you're injured, don't be mad or anything, basically.
The way to have longevity and to be an athlete, not only in high school but in college and as an adult, beyond playing with your kids in the backyard, is to make sure it's always fun, right? If you're not having a good time, it's not worth it.
Thanks, Liz. Were you ever into music when you were younger, Maddie?
A little bit. I was in choir when I was in middle school, but I guess I wasn't destined to be the next Ed Sheeran because my music career never took off.
Well, on the other hand, Darius Kazaku has been making music for years. Reed Pearson talked to him about his musical talents on this episode of Humans of FHN.
Let's check it out.
So what I think got me into music was when I was younger, I was in the church choir, and from then on I gradually did more and more with music. It's really been a big passion of mine, and it helps relieve stress, and just overall it really just makes a person more well-rounded. My favorite styles for music are definitely pop, Christian contemporary, and I do dabble a little in fingerstyle. I'm not that good, but just mainly pop. Definitely practice makes permanent, and the more practice you get in, the better you're going to be. No one's really helped me so much to learn guitar. I mean, I took lessons for the first 6 months, and after that it was kind of a self-learning process.
And we've come to an end on this episode of FHNtoday TV.
If you love these stories and want to see more, be sure to visit us on FHNtoday.com and follow us on social media at FHNtoday.
For FHNtoday TV, I'm Madi Shinault.
And I'm Trey Dehesa. Stay saucy, FHN. Okay, this needs to be documented. Maddie was complaining about the lighting, and Alyssa said, Maddie, you just look ugly on your own. It's not the lighting's fault. Okay, here we go.
Underrepresentation of women. Welcome back. Hold on, sorry.
Wow!
I didn't feel right.
Wow, she just messed up the whole thing. Thanks, Liz. Were you ever into music when you were younger, Madeline?
What did you?
You said madly.
You said, do I want to say it? Should I say it? Probably not.